Hello all and welcome back to Missildine Online. In this little video we're going to be doing the Warlords of Draenor alpha racial changes that have happened according to patch 6.0 notes for May 23rd. Now some of these obviously racials will change. They're subject to change. Obviously nothing is finalized until the game comes out, and even then it's a constantly growing change. However, it's something to be aware of so that you aren't rolling classes dictated by racials currently, and you're kind of free to maybe think what's going to be a cool racial to have for a class come Warlords of Draenor. Right now, appearing on screen, you should have a link to the races that you want to see the racials of, or you can just watch the entire video. This is, of course, the Alliance racial guide. There is another one on my channel for the Horde, linked in the description of this video. And yeah, so let's just jump into it. The first ones that we're going to look at are my favorite race, because they're the best race, the Draenor. So the Draenor have some really awesome changes when it comes to their racials. Let's look at what they currently have with them right now. So Gift of the Naru. Gift of the Naru is a wonderful, wonderful ability, especially for a class that doesn't have any healing capabilities. It heals the target for 20% of the caster's total health over 15 seconds and a 3-minute cooldown. It's not a lot, but it's pretty great. It's pretty great. I personally love it. It saved me a ton of times on many characters that I have. We also have the Heroic Presence racial, which increases your chance to hit with all spells and attacks by 1%, which obviously in the current game is wonderful because that means that's 1% of stats that you get to put elsewhere. And of course they also have Gem Cutting and some other racials, but nothing that's being changed. Shadow Resistance, it's not being changed though. The only two being changed is Heroic Presence and Gift of the Naru. Let's talk about Heroic Presence first. Heroic Presence has been redesigned. No longer increases hit by 1% because hit and expertise are being removed from the World of Warcraft. And instead, it will increase strength, agility, and intellect, scaling with the character level. Which could be great, could not be great. We'll have to see when the math actually comes out on what that scaling is going to be. If it's something like, you know, say a piece of gear has 500 strength on it and you get maybe 50 strength from your racial, not really a big deal, right? Not a huge deal when it actually matters. So we'll see how Heroic Presence actually ends up working. Could be a buff, could be a nerf. Is it going to be 1% of things? I don't know. And Gift of the Naru. This is in fact not necessarily bad or good. It's just kind of a neutral playing ground here. Gift of the Naru now heals for the same amount over 5 seconds, down from 15. So instead of 15 seconds, it's 5 seconds. So this one is a little more challenging because it can work both ways. So whereas right now you hit Gift of the Naru and for the next 15 seconds, you're going to constantly be gaining health. You might be losing health, but you're also going to be gaining health. Now Gift of the Naru is just boom. 5 seconds and you have 20% of your health back. That's a big heal. It is a big heal, but that's 10 seconds less of your cooldown being used. You know what I mean? So right now you use Gift of the Naru. By the time you're done healing, you only have 2 minutes and 45 seconds left on the actual cooldown. Whereas this, you'll have 2 minutes 55 seconds left. Not a huge deal. We'll have to see what happens there. Personally, I like the idea of being able to hit a button every 3 minutes and heal myself for 20% of my total health pretty much almost instantly. That's a pretty cool thing. 15 seconds is a long time, I suppose, to be getting hammered on and not be able to be healed and only be able to heal a small amount. People are out damaging that heal, so that's pretty much it for the racial changes for the Draenor. Like I said, nothing else is changing, so we'll have to see what happens with that Heroic Presence. Alright, but let's move on to the Dwarf. Alright, so with the Dwarves, we actually get finally to the point where maybe these racials are starting to get a little bit buffed for the Alliance, which is pretty great, considering a lot of the racials suck right now. To be I believe so. Of course, I'm a little biased. I'm a little biased if I don't say so. myself. But anyways, let's move on to Stoneform. So Stoneform is one of their big racials. It's on a 2-minute cooldown, removes all the poison, disease, and bleed effects, and reduces all damage taken by 10% for 8 seconds. Wonderful little ability if you're tanking or PvP. In specifically PvP and tanking, those are when that really shines. And Crackshot, expertise with ranged weapons, increased by 1%. And Mace Specialization, which is right here, which expertise with maces and two-handed maces is increased by 1%. Again, that's being changed in Warlords because of hit and expertise going away. Instead, it is being replaced. Mace Specialization has been replaced with Might of the Mountain. Might of the Mountain is a new racial passive ability that increases critical strike bonus damage and healing dealt by 2%. That is identical, absolutely identical to the Tauren racial Brawn. Are they trying to go for a little bit of a comparison here? I think so. I think they are. So, Might of the Mountain, same thing as Brawn. New racial passive ability that increases critical strike bonus damage and healing dealt by 2%. That's actually a wonderful thing for the dwarf, because it allows them to kind of reach out into healing classes and stuff that they normally don't have any racials really for. But again, whatever. It's racials, right? So moving on to Stoneform. Stoneform now also removes magic and curse effects, in addition to the poison, disease, and bleed effects that it already has, and of course still reduces the damage taken by 10% for 8 seconds. Also remains unusable while the dwarf is under the effects of crowd control. But that basically means that if you have anything on you whatsoever, you can hit Stoneform and get rid of that, which is, again, still great for PvP, still great for tanking, still even great for soloing, actually. There are some magic and curse buffs, or debuffs, I should say, on some bosses that it'd be really great to just be able to be like, pop, Stoneform, gone. Pretty great. And, of course, Crackshot is just going away. It's gone. Gone. Done. They don't have to use... They can use bows now. How's that? Dwarves can use bows. Alright, let's move on to the Mighty Gnome. Moving on to gnomes, we'll see that they have some really cool racial changes happening, but let's look at their current racials. They have Escape Artist. Escape the effects of any immobilization or movement speed reduction effects. Nothing too big is happening here in terms of what's happening in Warlords. The cooldown is just being reduced to 1 minute instead of 1.5 minute cooldown. Not a huge deal, but it's a thing. It's a thing that's happening. 30 seconds knocked off. Why not? We'll take it. And they are also getting the change to Expansive Mind. So as of right now, if you look at Expansive Mind, you'll see that mana pool is increased by 5%. That is changing. That is changing. The mana pool will still be increased by 5%. But it's also going to increase maximum mana, energy, rage, and runic power by 5% instead of only the mana, which is awesome. That is a wonderful, wonderful change. That's really great, allowing gnomes to be even better rogues than they already are, better warriors, better death knights. That's amazing. That's a great change. There's nothing wrong with that change in my mind, or probably anybody else's. A 5% increase to your pool, your resource pool. That's pretty great. I'll take that any day. And they are also getting a new talent called Nimble Fingers, which is identical, absolutely identical to the Goblin Time is Money change that's happening, which is just a new racial passive ability that increases haste by 1%. Just a flat increase to haste. Nothing wrong there. Makes gnomes even better, which is why I rolled a Warlock, because Warlocks are awesome. So that's it for the gnome. That's totally it for the gnome stuff going on. So let's move on to the human racials. Alright, let's jump on into the human racials available and the changes that are going to happen to them. So, Diplomacy, one of their best, if not their best racial in my opinion. Reputation gains increased by 10%, not going anywhere. It's going to stay the same, thank God. Every man for himself, staying the same, much to many people's disapproval. They think it should be something nerfed. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, which you probably do if you're watching this video, every man for himself basically is a free PvP trinket, which is wonderful. One of the best, literally the best PvP racial there is in the game. With maybe slightly above, maybe even Shadow Meld, to be honest with you. So that's not going anywhere. Going to change it's going to stay exactly how it is. What is changing is mace specialization and sword specialization are being removed entirely. Those are the ones that increase expertise. Again, expertise and hit going away. So you're going to have those two gone. But the human spirit has been redesigned. Spirit increased by 3% right now, making them wonderful, wonderful healers. However, it's going to change in Warlords of Draenor. It no longer increases Spirit by 3%, and instead now increases 2 secondary stats by an amount scaling with character level. Here's the kicker. You can choose which 2 secondary stats it increases. This is one of the biggest changes to racials we've seen is, well, the choice, if you will. Like, yes, you get to choose for the goblins between Barrage and Jump, but not that big of a deal. This is like, you get to choose which 2 secondary stats you're getting, and considering I believe there's only 3 being offered right now, Multi-Strike, Readiness, and Bonus Armor, that's some pretty cool, that might be an overpowered ability. That totally might be an overpowered racial. Or, again, just like the Draenei, it could be an underpowered, depending on how much it scales. If it doesn't scale a lot, and, you know, if it doesn't make up for that 3% spirit increase, it could be a nerf. It could definitely be a nerf. Only time will tell. We have no idea yet. We also don't know how the change is going to happen yet. Are you going to be able to actively go to your trainer and just decide you want these 2 stats now? Or can you just do it from anywhere? Be really cool if you could do it from anywhere. We'd be seeing humans for bosses and raids. We'd be seeing them change their racials right before boss fights. Stuff like that. That's interesting. Some really interesting stuff. Finally, though, that's the only big change. Finally, I've saved probably one of the most controversial ones for now. This is it. This is the last one, and that is the Night Elves. All right, let's move on to the Night Elves. Now, their racials are nothing to be scoffed at as it stands. They have elusiveness. Elusiveness reduces the chance enemies have to detect you while shadow melded, and increases your speed while Prowl is active by 5%. That's only on me. Basically, what elusiveness does, it basically makes you harder to detect whenever you're stealthed or anything like that. Also makes you a little bit faster. Now, elusiveness isn't being changed at all. Not at all. Neither is Shadow Meld. These are 2 of some of the greatest racials that the Night Elves have available to them. What is being changed, however, is quickness. Quickness increases your chance to dodge melee and ranged attacks by 2%. It is being nerfed. It is significantly being nerfed. And that is because quickness now also increases movement speed by 2% in Warlords of Draenor, in addition to increasing dodge chance by 2%. That little slight increase in movement speed is amazing. It's going to be really, really, really great in different circumstances, especially as a flag runner in Warsong Gulch, any PvP that you're doing, any tanking, especially if you're tanking, you can get to your target first before the group. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful ability to have. That 2% increase is really great just for a flat passive you have it. It's a wonderful ability. They are also getting a new passive ability that's where it gets controversial. It's called Touch of a Loon. Touch of a Loon is a new passive ability which increases haste by 1% at night and critical strike chance by 1% during the day. The reason that's controversial is because are we going to see raids that are waiting until the day so that their Night Elves can have 1% critical strike? Are we going to be seeing that? Are we going to be seeing them wait until night to use haste so that they have their haste? Like, what's gonna happen there? Are people gonna be playing more at different times of the day because they think their racial's better? What's gonna be the cutoff? What's gonna be the cutoff? Is it gonna be realm time? Oh, 4 o'clock hit. Time to switch. It's gonna switch over to critical strike. I don't know if this is going to stick around. Honestly, it's a nice idea, but I don't know if this is something that is going to stick around. If they're gonna keep doing it, I don't know. I really don't know. I guess only time will tell. We are only in alpha, so obviously things are subject to change, but touch of a loon. Let's see what happens with you. And that's all there is for Alliance racials that are happening in Warlords, the new racials. You can also check out my video that has the Horde racials. Something I do want to say is Worgen are not being touched at all, and of course neither are pandas or anything like that. Worgen are not being touched. They like their racials where they are. Same with the pandas, obviously. Goblins are being changed, but really only slightly. So they kind of like where the Goblin racials, Worgen racials are, and they're bringing all the other classes or other races kind of to that point, in my mind. It looks like they're trying to do that anyways. They're trying to balance it out, bringing nerfs to some things, bringing buffs and to others. It makes sense, totally makes sense. Let me know what you guys think, though, in the comments of this video. I'm really, really curious if you guys think anything is wrong with the racials. I really want to know what these racials are going to look like. And, of course, I will be making other videos when Warlords either hits in a beta or, which hopefully I get in the beta, or it goes into the actual game. And obviously I will update with how the racials are and which racials are great. And I'll make a class guide from a racial point of view. Speaking of class guides, however, I have a video coming out soon, if not already out, that is a class guide from a lore point of view that I would love for you guys to check out. It's kind of cool. I'm not really into the picking classes based on racials, so I like to pick my class based on my race, or my race based on my class. That's what I like to do, and I do that through story. So let me know what you guys think in the videos below, and please subscribe if you guys like some World of Warcraft content. I do take requests on guides to make and stuff like that, and lore videos, whatnot. Thank you so much for joining us right here at Missile Online, and remember, never give up, never surrender.